and there's about 2 shows. It had to be because it was too packed, and too many people out on the sidewalk. I guess the sheriff came by and somebody hucked a bottle or something like that, and so they showed up en masse, right, about 30 cars and about 500 punks out on the sidewalk, and so the sheriff holds up a shotgun, right, and everybody just scatters just like that, so.
When you guys go to the States, do you kind of like have, camp out at the place where some fans live or something, or, everybody invades a couple of households or what? I've seen stories about that.
Well, kind of, yeah. We spend a lot of time on, hopefully a person's usually got a carpet. Sometimes it's a hardwood floor. That's the worst. That's when you're really slumming it, right? But you get a couch, then you're doing excellent. Yeah. It's actually a good way to keep in contact with people rather than what happens to a lot of bands when they do stay at hotels. They don't do anything except go to the hotel, then go to sound check, play the gig, and go back to the hotel, and then travel to the next town. So they don't really get any character or flavor of the people in the town.
You first started doing this, did you ever think you were going to be in Rolling Stone and Billboard magazine? I know you said Billboard once had in a top album pick with your album. I know Rolling Stones had mention of you, etc. Did you ever think this was going to happen?
I knew it was all going to happen.
Where did it start?
Oh, I don't know. I know where it started. It started in Merritt, BC. Yeah. We had a club-type band, or it was supposed to be. And we went up there for a 4-night thing, and we got ripped off and fired after 1 night. And then after that, we started playing punk rock. We said, forget it. This is BS.
What was the first band you ever played in?
I ever played in? First one that actually did any gigs was Stone Crazies.
Yeah?
So we're all like long hairs playing the sort of Status Quo, ZZ Top type stuff.
Oh, really? How old were you then?
No, I was 17 or something like that.
Is that the band that went to Merritt?
Yeah, and we got fired. And that was their last gig.
So when your first punk rock band, was that the Skull?
Yeah. I guess we were actually the second punk rock band in town. The first one was the Furies. It was kind of like, a couple of friends of mine, this one Vancouver art student was sort of the leader of it. And we were the second one, and we sort of did gigs around, out and played in Port Moody and Legion on 4th Avenue. And we played at the Commodore, Georgia Strait 10th anniversary gig. And we were about third up, and when we played, about half the people exited the building, right? And they pulled the power on us after about 2 songs. Our drummer kept playing, and because they pulled the power on, I was really pissed off, so I went and grabbed the stage manager and started throttling him, and that got stopped. So that had probably something to do with why we didn't play at the Commodore too much, right?
You're a pretty big guy. Did you ever play football or anything like that? Or
no, I never did. Just played hockey and lacrosse. Yeah.
Was that original band, did that have Randy Rampage and Chuck Biscuits in it?
No, the Skulls was actually most of the guys there in DOA now.
Yeah?
We just was Wimpy or
Dave Gregg wouldn't have been.
Dave Gregg wasn't there.
Dimwit?
From Saskatchewan.
Was Dimwit in the
yeah, Dimwit was drummer.
Okay, Randy Rampage, I just got a ride down in the cab from a guy, Sean, I think was his last name, Prepchuck, who said that he went to school with Randy Rampage. You can drink that. It's Diet Coke, right?
That's right, but I'm not giving these guys any free advertising. They never give me anything.
And Randy Rampage apparently went to Hansford Secondary School. I didn't know that. Where is he now? What's he doing now?
He's got a band called Ground Zero, and they're actually going to be playing at New York Theater pretty soon.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, okay. Our old pal bars at Brad Kent.
Chuck Biscuits went with Black Flag?
And then the Circle Jerks, and now he doesn't drum anymore, he just makes T-shirts in Los Angeles.
How did you get the name DOA for the band? Who picked that?
It was actually by this fellow that we just met who called himself Harry Homo, which is an appropriate name for him. But
well, we won't get into that.
Okay. And he just said, well, he came up to me and Biscuits and Rampage and says, hey, let's start a band. I'll be the singer. We'll call it DOA, and we'll make $1 million. Well, he only lasted in the band about 3 weeks. We kept the name. The only thing that hasn't happened yet is $1 million.
Okay. Joey Shithead, did you pick that name?
Well, it's actually a suggestion of Dimwit. He was saying, well, what a great name for a punk rock band would be Joey Shithead and the Marching Morons. And I just sort of adopted it. Actually, that was rumored to be the original name for DOA, but it never actually was.
There was a quote here that you're probably going to be saddled with that name until you're 50 years old. I mean, does it ever bother you that people, come up to you and yell, hey, Shithead, or whatever, Well, no, we were just talking about that on the way over here, or just before we came over with a friend of mine and said, maybe sometimes go into fast food joints and somebody say, hey, Shithead, you got my money or something like that, right? And the people go, wow, you let them call you that? And they say, sure, I like it. That's my name, right? I don't know. We're probably going to have all these bleeped out here. I have no idea what the CRTC regulations are on that, but this is 1985.
I know. I've got special approval from them.
Okay, great. Is it written? This is 1985, and people have surely have heard the word before. I'm sure they can't be offended by it. My God, some of them, well, whatever. Okay, I want to get back to England. I've never been to England, but I'd like to get back there.
Either,
the Anti-Nowhere League, you were on a bill with them at one time, and it said that you were talking about them playing BBC version of a punk band. Now, the punk changed in England from about after 2 or 3 years after Sid Vicious and Johnny Rotten and that, and the Clash when they really were, and the Damned, the Stranglers, etc. It changed very quickly because there's a lot of fashion changes in music in England. When you guys went there, were you considered kind of passé?
Depending who you're talking to. Of course, there's always a new trend every 2 weeks to months to 2 months in England. So there's lots of diehards, and there's always new people getting into punk music or hardcore music. So yeah, to a lot of people you're passé, but I say to people that are like just into dance and synth music, well, that's like completely passé because it's just like a revitalization and regurgitation of disco.
It's just 77, 78 disco all over again. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's just where you're coming from, That's there's no accounting for taste, I suppose.
What was the reaction of the English people to you in the 2 times you've been there?
It's actually, well, the first time we were like pretty unknown, so it was kind of minimal. We got good reaction at the gigs we played. Last time was really good. We got really good press in the NME and Sounds and Melody Maker and stuff like that.
You intend to go back?
Yeah, hopefully this summer after the new album's out.
Some of the labels you've been with, what was Alternative Tentacles? Is that an English label?
What's the American and English?
I have to look some of these things up. It's hard for me to remember. And you had an album called Triumph of the Ignoroids?
That was a live EP that was actually done at Battle of the Bands. Battle of the Bands have been dead around town for about 6 years, and Tom Harrison sort of revitalized it and had it going. It was sponsored by George Strait, and we did it at the Body Shop. And the night we played, I guess there was us, Doug and the Slugs, and his group called Carmel. And we got great crowd reaction and lost. So us and Doug and the Slugs both lost, and Carmel, which was never heard of again, won that particular night because the judges were not exactly fair.
How can anybody judge in things like these anyway? Somebody wins or loses kind of thing. I mean,
yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, it's actually the good thing is the CITR Shindig is pretty good because a lot of that goes on crowd reaction.
Yeah.
Of course, then I suppose you always get your pals down there. If they're wilder, then it looks like you're getting a better reaction, right? But,
well, whatever. The first time you guys went to New York, how much money did you have?
We had we arrived in town. We had $20 between the 5 of us about 5 days before we were going to get.
That would go a long ways in New York too, I bet.
Since went out first night, spent it all on beer, right? And didn't know what to do after that.
What did you do?
Well, we sort of we bummed some money after people we were supposed to be playing for. And then when it actually came up the first night to play, there was the fire marshals closed the place down, right? Because it was run by the Yippies in New York. It was their first contact there.
Well, didn't you have a gig one of the first times you went down to L.A. that the same kind of thing happened? There was a riot or something, and they closed it down. You guys only got a chance to play one set, so you drive all the way back.
That was the Whiskey A Go-Go's.
That was that one.
First band since the Doors that closed it down.
There's been a quote of you. The Clash used to be called the only band that matters, and some people here have kind of borrowed that for DOA, the only band that matters. Do you think, oh my God, we're the only band that matters?
Yeah, well, I hope not. I hope there's a lot more bands that matter. I mean, there certainly is, right? There's lots of good bands out there. But
you guys have kept the kind of internal integrity in the sense that you're still basically doing what you've always been doing. I mean, you've got a commitment to it and an integrity about it.
Well, I mean, we believe in what we're doing and what we're saying and trying to put forth to people. I mean, if there's we have a message, and we want to put it forth as strong as we can. One thing people will say we're changing, certainly we are. We're like playing for a long time. You're going to improve musically.
Yeah.
When you put more melody in your songs and stuff like that. That's one thing we're doing.
I don't want to get too heavily into politics here, but what politically you base much of your music on your political beliefs, or is it the other way around? The political beliefs kind of come out of the music, or for want of a better term here?
Well, no, I think just the music is. Just something what you like. Well, myself, the songs I write is what I like to hear, right? Sort of in the hard rock vein, fast music. The lyrics, they just sort of come out of what I see, what's happening in the world.
Your lyrics, are they intended to be a political statement, or is it just kind of you saying this is what I see, or do you base it on some kind of politics? Yeah.
No, I don't base it on any particular form of politics. Like I wouldn't say I'm not a socialist and I'm not an anarchist. I would not put any sort of political label on myself. But it's just what I see.
You guys wrote a song for solidarity, though, right?
No, we wrote a song that was quite adaptable. Solidarity was happening, like, I sympathize, the Solidarity Coalition and Operation Solidarity. The Solidarity Coalition was actually the people that needed the most help because they didn't have the unions to help them. I've been like complete sympathy with the unions on that particular thing, but more so with the Solidarity Coalition, which was like women's groups, minority groups, stuff like that.
There was one time when it was DOA and the Subhumans here in Vancouver. Of course, Wimpy Roy, who was Brian Goebel, was with the Subhumans. And how have you guys melded together? Because you used to play in a band with you at one time.
Yeah,
right?
he used to play in the Skulls. He was the bass player for the Skulls.
You guys have been good friends for quite a while then.
Me and Brian have been friends for 20 years. So.
This new band, the new lineup you have right now, let's just go down through it. On drums, you have Dimwit.
Yeah.
You have Brian. Does he prefer to be called Brian Goebel now, or
he
Wimpy
goes
Roy?
Brian Sonny Boy Roy Goebel, right? To show what a sunny disposition he has
on bass.
To the
and
world.
Dave Gregg on guitar.
Yeah.
And yourself and playing guitar and singing, whatever. Yeah. Okay, is this the tightest band you guys have ever had?
Oh, easily.
Yeah?
Yeah. Musically, cohesively, every way, I think.
What is your intent right now? Obviously, you've got demos out on the new album or whatever. Has there been any reaction yet?
Yeah, some of the record companies said, "Boy, is this ever strange? Maybe these songs by some other group, but these guys are too serious." That was one reaction from a major in Canada. There has been some response, right? So we're still sort of waiting on that, but it's actually going out independently in the States.
This has always been the route you've had to go, though, is independent, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think when you show as much commitment as we have, then it can be kind of hard for people with money to sort of ignore that.
The Club Soda gig you had went very well too.
Yeah, well, I mean that was a really funny experience because it was playing in a really straight place and sort of taking our music to those people. Although it's, there's a mix of people. There's definitely a lot of people that wouldn't see us in other circumstances. So that worked out pretty well. And they invited us back there. The assistant manager looked at his watch, said, "Yeah, I'd like to have you guys back here maybe about 1990."
How did McLeod break your guitar?
He you go sort of push on the end of the neck to try and make the note go downwards, and it's a pretty light guitar, and he sort of separated the neck from the body.
This is interesting because I shouldn't even mention this, I guess. I was at the Michael Jackson gig, and I saw you outside there. Okay, I went there to see the lights and sound or whatever. Did people kind of maybe surprised the amount of different kinds of music you're interested in?
Well, it's just that goes along the same with like the hockey thing. People thought that was totally bizarre when we were playing hockey, and people said, well, what are you doing here at Michael Jackson? I said, well, I was trying to get a cheap ticket. I never did go in. I think that, to take as much as you can out of life, you got to have an open mind about stuff and look, and that means like seeing like a lot of different things, right? And certainly not into just one style of music. I'm a big Hank Williams fan. And,
really?
Such stuff.
What were your influences when you were younger in music?
Well, I mean, when I was younger, Alice Cooper, Jimi Hendrix, Black Sabbath, Creedence Clearwater.
A lot of the heavy metal stuff now has actually become kind of punk, hasn't it? I mean, a lot of the real hardcore heavy metal bands are really playing what was punk,
Yeah, and a lot of the punk bands have sort of become heavy metal. It's musically where they meet, philosophically where they differ. So.
But there's a bigotry with a lot of people in music, and they say, I like new wave, or I like punk, or I like pop, or I like this, or I like that. There's all kinds of good music in every style.
You can, I mean, to myself personally, some have a lower batting average with what's good, but definitely there's a right way and a wrong way of doing every style of music, so you don't have to close it off and just only like one style.
Yeah, what school did you go to?
Burnaby North.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
And out of that, was there anything particular that came from, did you grow up in Burnaby?
Yeah, I did all my life, the Burnaby boy who became the king of rock and roll. Yeah, right.
How do you feel when you walk down the street and someone goes, DOA?
I think it's pretty funny, right? Right now, I wish I had $1 for everybody that did it. I'll go get some beer. I don't know. I think it's cool.
What are you guys doing right now? You got any gigs coming up?
Yeah, actually, we're going to be playing at the York Theatre about the middle of April for a couple of nights down Commercial Street, and then April 20th we're going to play in Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah, so we're going to Alaska.
So we should have lots of polar bears in attendance and stuff like that.
Do you know anything about that? Whether they got the right PA system for you up there or anything?
I'm phoning in a couple days to find out.
I got to wrap this up. I've enjoyed it.
Okay, boy, that went fast.
That went quickly. Yeah, thanks.
We'll see you all later.
I have to get you again sometime, and we can talk about all the things I never got to here when I get my notes organized. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
We've been talking to Joe Keithley, also known as Joey Shithead. Thanks for watching. Good night.